Hi, this is Larry with Man Cave Mayhem. Today we are working on the 2025 CRF 300 LS. Specifically, we are going to be installing a full rack system with a gas can from SRC MOTO. Full disclosure, gave me a discount, but I want to give an honest review on this product, so we're going to unbox it. Well, we are going to unpackage it, we'll weigh it, we'll install it on the bike. I'll show you how easy that is to do, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on that. If you haven't yet, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Check us out at Instagram at mancave_mayhem. Now let's get on with the video. All right, we're back over on the workbench. Now let's get this thing unpackaged. Start off with, they got a really nice gas can that came with this. It's pretty heavy duty. Looks like it's got a good mounting system on it. We're going to set that aside for now. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Now let's turn to the main product here, which is the actual rack itself. Alright, this is what you're going to expect to get in the package, along with your gas can, if you order it with the gas can. So let's get over to the scale and weigh these things and see what we're looking at. Alright, let's zero out our scale and see where we are with weight. This thing boasts a pretty good weight, so I'm going to weigh each piece and we'll put it together. We're looking at just under 1 pound here on one of the side racks. Same there, just a little over 1 pound. So we're at approximately 2 pounds. And the center rack is approximately 2 pounds. So we're adding approximately 6 pounds with the hardware. Yeah, about 6 pounds total for the rack system. That's not bad at all. It's totally lightweight aluminum, but it's very durable. Now let's weigh the gas can empty with the hardware. And we're looking at 2.5 pounds, give or take. And so we'll go from there. All right, the tools you're going to want for this project are as follows: a 3/8 inch drive ratchet. A swivel extension of some sort. I got this flexible extension. I didn't use it, but it's something that you could use. Or a swivel head extension, or just a swivel head that goes on the end of a swivel head extension. We've got a 6mm Allen socket and a 5mm Allen socket. We got a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, and I have an extension for a 3/8 drive socket. I also have a 5mm Allen key and a 6mm Allen key, and that's about it. You'll also be using Loctite, of course, which is lovely. They provide that though. So those are the tools you're going to want for this. The hardware bag, here's what you can expect to find. I call it the instructions, but really it's just a check sheet. They do have the instructions online. I've been making a mistake and not stating that, but they do have full instructions online on assembly, so don't worry about that. I've got 8 washers, 8 Allen head bolts, and then there's 4 larger Allen head bolts, and that's going to be what's going to be used to secure the main rack. And then we're going to have the beautiful blue wondrous Loctite that makes my heart pitter patter with excitement, make me feel warm and fuzzy knowing that nothing's ever going to rattle loose, right? Yeah, maybe. Now, since we have the complete kit, we are going to want to assemble this on the bench. So we're going to put all 3 of these sides together using the provided 8 Allen bolts. And we're going to be assembling that with our 5mm Allen key. So we'll get that started. I'm going to be putting Loctite on all these parts, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing assembled. And you're going to see how cool this rack really is. All right, I have this carefully balanced, so I'm going to start applying Loctite to each screw and slowly just putting these screws in finger tight to start with. Make sure your holes are all lined up real well, and then we'll just kind of snug it using your Allen key to just kind of tighten things up a little bit. You don't want to go crazy tight on this, but you want it to be snug. All right, once those are finger tight, I've got a little 1/4-inch drive ratchet with a adapter for a 5mm Allen key that I can get in here and just kind of snug these up. I'm not going crazy tight, but I'm snugging them up good to where I know they're not going to come loose with the provided Loctite. So I'm just making sure, checking everything, making sure it's snug. I'll do that on this side, and then I'll do the same procedure on the opposite side. And they're kind of at a funky angle. You may have to get in here with a 5mm Allen key maybe, just to tighten things up. You don't want to strip anything out. So I'm able to go in through the top and get the last one kind of snug, but you kind of got to go in at an angle. There we go. Now we're going to flip it around and go to the other side. It's a very light rack system, which is nice. Now that we got this side going, we're going to tighten it up and also just make sure that you're kind of lined up on the holes. So when we put it on the bike, we don't have any problems with alignment. Right, and this is how your rack should look once you have it all together on the bench. So now we're going to move over to the motorcycle. All right, on the bike, you're going to be focusing on these 4 pins here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to want to remove all of those pins. So let's get that started. Now with our 6mm Allen key, we're going to start removing these pins. And they're pretty snug, so just be aware of that. Now that those are loose, we're going to completely remove those, and then we'll be getting ready to mount the rack. Be careful. You do have some bushings that may come out. You need to stay in. So just be aware of that. Be alert to that. So as you're taking things off, make sure that you're not taking the bushing off with it. You'll want that bushing to stay in. So I got 2 of these bushings that came off during the removal process. All right, before we get this installed, I want to kind of show you. These dark bushings are the ones that popped out of the back. Let me see if I can show that to you. So that's the dark bushing. Then we have a chrome type bushing that fell out of the front. And those go in down here before you put anything else on. Now, when we put the rack on, there's 2 different size shims or spacers. You got a longer spacer and a shorter spacer. The longer spacer goes in the back, the shorter spacer goes in the front. So now we're going to move to the bike. We're going to start getting this rack installed. I'm going to put some Loctite on each one of these, and then we're going to start installing this rack. Now with the rack gently rested on the bike, I want to take the silver bushing and place it underneath here, after which I'll be placing the spacer. So I place the silver bushing under here. And then the spacer goes in front of that. And it's kind of tricky. You're going to have to just finagle it a little bit. Once you get it lined up, then you carefully place your bolt through. And then you just want to carefully thread it in. Just maybe 2 turns at the most. You just want to get it in there and get the threads started on that. You're going to start the threads on that with your 6mm Allen key. So you don't want to go real tight. Now we're going to move to the back of the bike. Now we're going to repeat the process at the rear of the bike. going to be using this wider spacer and the black collar or shim, and we're going to put that on the back of the bike. And that goes right underneath. That's going to go underneath. Let me get you a better shot of that. All right, from the right-hand side of the bike, this kind of is how it should look. You got the shim or the spacer right here, the spacer, and then that shim that is behind it, that factory shim. So that's loosely fitted. Now we're moving to the back side here, and you can kind of see it in there, the hole. So we want to work our way underneath here and make sure that that factory shim gets in there. Once that's in, then we want to get our spacer and put our spacer in, which is going to be challenging because you kind of have to slide everything over. So you can kind of, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And again, you're using the large spacer, and that should kind of pressure fit in there if you're doing it on the high side of the bike, on the non-kickstand side of the bike. And this is how it should look. It's not lined up right now, but it should kind of look like that. And just line it up. Now we're going to feed the bolt in carefully and line that up. Make sure you get some Loctite on your bolt. And you kind of got to get creative and fish this in here. And line it up. Once you got it lined up, give it a couple twists, make sure it's threaded in, and then we're going to repeat this on the other side. We're going to be using the silver bushing on the front. That goes in here. Be careful not to drop it, it's a pain in the butt. The reason why you want that other side pretty loose is because you got to kind of finagle that in. So, got that in. Now we want to get that bushing in there. And once the bushing's in, we just want to Loctite this and get that started. Once that one's in, we're going to move to the back with the larger bushing and the dark shim. And we're going to take our dark shim and we're going to place this under. This is a little bit more challenging to line up and get in here right, but it's not terribly difficult. A couple tools you might want to try is this. I have a flexible socket extension. I also have a swivel end, and I have a swivel end extension along with just a swivel on the end. So we're going to start off with this and see if we can get in there and get to that. The non-exhaust side shouldn't be too much of a challenge. I'm able to get in there and actually line that up. Like I said, just kind of snug it to start with. Work your way around, and then you can work your way back. And this is going to work pretty good on all of these. This works really well on the exhaust side as well. Okay, and that rack is on. Now I'm going to show you how to put the gas can on. All right, so the gas can has this bracket. So basically what you want to do is just fit this first. And you'll just take that thread-on cap. And it looks like it has a setup for a lock if you want it, but I don't think it's necessary. And this just kind of clicks down into place. Once you got that pressured into place to where it's not going to wobble or anything, which I think we're in good shape here. So that's how the can goes. Then we're going to take this part here and we're just going to slide the can underneath, and I'll show you from the front side how this attaches. So we're going to go from the front side. Again, just leaving this attached all the time. You'll slide this up underneath like this, and it just fits in there. And then we thread this on. And there's 2 pins, locator pins, or reference pins that go in this. And then you just snug it up. And then if you need to tighten that some more, you can. And that's how the gas can goes on. But I just want to show you how close that helmet lock is, which probably won't ever get used, so I'm assuming my son-in-law will take that off, but you can kind of see it back there, kind of hidden under the rack. All right, that's going to about wrap it up for the unboxing, review, and installation of the SRC MOTO complete luggage rack and gas can for the 2025 CRF 300 LS. I am going to give you my thoughts on this rack right now. I think this is an awesome rack. It's super lightweight aluminum, powder coated nicely. The way it hooks up is nice. The gas can is going to function well. There was a negative that I had to say about it. It's a little tight in there where you put it in next to the helmet lock. I never really use the helmet lock, but it virtually makes the helmet lock unusable. So I would suggest maybe removing that. But overall, it's a very sturdy, durable rack. I think he's going to get years of use out of this rack and be pretty happy with it. I've got some pannier bags that I'm going to give to him and that he can throw in the rack. In fact, I'll toss those over the rack right now just to give you an idea what that looks like. All right, I just have these draped over it, but it gives you an idea of what you can put on here. These have been through hell and back. These went to Alaska and Mexico. So they're a little dirty and messy, but it gives you an idea kind of what you can put on this bike. But I'm real happy with this rack. I think it's going to be a good rack for my son-in-law. I think he is going to get a lot of use out of it. If you haven't yet, I encourage you to go to the SRC website and check out the products that they have. They have some really good quality products. They're great to work with. If you call, you actually get a human being on the line. They'll talk to you. So it's a great company to get involved with. If you haven't yet, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Check us out at Instagram at mancave_mayhem. And just remember, folks, I'm just a man in a cave causing mayhem. Thanks again for watching.